So Stranger Things had an ending, but has the second half of season 5 changed how we're going to take over the Upside Down? Actually, yes. By a lot. I was running under the foolish assumption that the Upside Down was a copy of the entire world. It's actually just Hawkins. It's not an entire dimension, it's a wormhole between the real world and the abyss, and it just like encapsulates a copy of Hawkins and a copy of the bit of abyss desert that corresponds to Hawkins, I guess. This means that the military's inability to take over the Upside Down in season 5 is even dumber. The military in season 5 in general is maybe the dumbest depiction of US military I've seen in a long time, given that they have access to a wormhole in a whole second dimension, and all they use it for is to hold a bunch of pregnant women hostage. I don't even think they knew that the Upside Down was a wormhole. The Dr. K lady is so dead set on making more kids with superpowers, she never bothered to look up. No one in the military, even with their helicopters, ever asked, hey, what if we just went up far enough to see if there's a limit? How tall is the wall? There's a flesh wall that surrounds this entire place, and it's centered on Hawkins' lab. Maybe we should go see if something's going on at Hawkins' lab. Or maybe we should see how tall the flesh walls are. If they had done either of those things, they would have discovered that it's a wormhole. They should have effectively had the whole Upside Down mapped out, because it's just all of Hawkins. It's so small. The fact they hadn't at least secured most of it is insane. If at any point they had bothered to go to Hawkins' labs, they would have found exotic matter, the kind that holds open a wormhole. That's the kind of stuff that lets you do faster than light travel. At that point, why do you care if some kids have superpowers? Oh, you have a kid who can lift a truck with some effort? That's crazy. I couldn't hear you from my colony on Alpha Centauri. That rant aside, taking over the Upside Down should be so easy because it's so tiny and there's literally no hostile entities there. Demogorgons, demodogs, demobats, a vecna, mind flayer, they all live in the abyss actually. They only live in the Upside Down sometimes. If you deal with them in the abyss, the Upside Down is completely safe. And to be honest, they shouldn't be that hard to deal with anyways. A lot of people in the last video pointed out in the comments that it's weird that bullets don't work but swords do work on demogorgons, and I agree. But none of that really matters, because it's so easy to kill the Mind Flayer. And when you get rid of the hive mind, the demogorgons are no longer an issue. Mind Flayer went from this big unknowable eldritch cloud of particles that looms over you and takes over people's minds, to just another flesh monster that got killed by some kids with flamethrowers and molotovs. And unlike demogorgons, the Mind Flayer's main body seems to be pretty weak to bullets. Probably not like super weak, I doubt Nancy could take it out on her own, but weak enough where it really didn't like getting shot. Demogorgons are fast, bulletproof, and can go between dimensions. The Mind Flayer is a big flesh monster that you could set on fire, and if you kill it, you kill everything else. So taking over the Upside Down, and by extension the Abyss, is so much easier. You don't have to fight a big army of indestructible monsters. You just have to kill the Mind Flayer, which just sits there, alone, unguarded. The Duffer Brothers apparently confirmed in an interview that the reason there are no Demogorgons in the finale is because neither the Mind Flayer nor Vecna thought that they would need any protection at any point. So you just have to kill the Mind Flayer, and you're done. No one will show up to help. And all you need to kill the Mind Flayer is some flamethrowers, or some Molotovs, or a wrist rocket. You have a lot of options. It is not immune to things. And if you're worried about Vecna, don't be. The military has anti-superpower sonar dishes. So if they're attacking the Mind Flayer and Vecna shows up, you just point one of those at him. And because of how awful the Stranger Things hive mind is, I bet if he's incapacitated by the sonar dish, it's also hurting the Mind Flayer too, because they all feel the same pain. The only reason the military or anyone who weren't Hawkins kids didn't kill Vecna and the Mind Flayer is just because they were all dumb and never applied themselves. So here's the plan for taking over the Abyss. First, of course, secure the Upside Down. Then you're going to want to use the Flesh Wall. We're going to need to transport a lot of military hardware from the Upside Down to the Abyss, and that's going to be hard if you're going straight up. Unless you build an elevator. And we just happen to have a whole Flesh Wall right here that you could affix an elevator to. It might be a little weird, you know, affixing a giant metal elevator to the side of a flesh wall, but it's right there. I mean, you might as well go for it. And once you have a cargo elevator set up and presumably some catwalk system or something up at the top, now you have a way to get in and out of the Abyss easily, and then you start moving in hardware. Remember how in season 4 they say if you step on any vine, it will awaken the hive mind? Well, that's not a problem, because the Abyss has no vines. All you need to do is transport a bunch of guys with flamethrowers, some artillery, and general explosives over, and that should be more than enough to kill both Henry and the Mind Flayer, especially because they are aggressively unprotected. We know that flamethrowers work against the Mind Flayer and demogorgons, and melee weapons. Melee weapons work on demogorgons, demobats, and apparently also the Mind Flayer, because I don't know, of course it does. Also, explosives work. We never saw explicitly explosives hitting a demogorgon or any demo creature until the very end of Season 5, when Mrs. Wheeler sets up a bomb and it kills a bunch of demo dogs. And you know what? I'm gonna take it. An improvised bomb can kill demo dogs, so I'm assuming military-grade explosives can probably deal with demogorgons and the Mind Flayer. Then once the Mind Flayer, the Abyss Hive Mind, and Vecna are gone, you just have a whole dimension to yourself. Like, you could do whatever you want with it. On top of that, you have the Upside Down, which is a wormhole between dimensions. You can use the exotic matter to create things like fast and light drives or other wormholes. Or you could just drill through the flesh wall and then like try to find your way to another dimension. I don't know how far distances are, but you basically have found space too. Build a telescope, see what you can see out there. There are so many things the military could have done during the time skip between Season 4 and 5, but instead they decided to set up one base in the Upside Down and just to have a bunch of pregnant women to try to make kids with superpowers. Speaking of pregnant women, where did they go? Did they die when the Upside Down collapsed? Were they taken to a second location? I have so many questions. There were so many cliffhangers at the end of Season 5. Why did the military just leave after they thought they saw 11 die? Dr. K seems pretty evil. Why don't you just be like, well, you legally can leave because 11's dead. You're not going to try to silence anyone? The government in this series have killed people for far less. Remember Benny? I can't stress enough how insane it is that the military never once checked out Hawkins' labs. They clearly know about the flesh wall, so how did they not know that it's centered around Hawkins' labs? And how did they not check that out? Or at least try to find the maximum height of the flesh wall? Where were the demogorgons, demo dogs, and demo bats at the time of the attack? I mean, I know the Duffer Brothers said they weren't around because Vecna and the Mind Flayer didn't expect they would ever be attacked on their home turf, but you'd think you would keep some creatures around yourself, if not for protection, just so you have people you can send across dimensions easily. Also, how did Vecna not expect a sneak attack? They've only ever attacked him through sneak attacks, and he had just gone through Will's, 11's, and Hopper's heads. With Hopper, it's especially egregious because he had gone deep enough to find all of his deepest, darkest secrets. You're telling me that he was able to find Hopper's dead daughter and all the things he did in Vietnam, but couldn't see that they were in the middle of a plan to attack him? He should know by going through their minds that they are going to attack him. He could see their memories. And a plan they made earlier that day should not be that repressed. It should not be that deep down. It should be like surface level. Where's Dr. Owens? Is he okay? Is he alright? Could he use the flesh wall as an infinite food source? I mean, I am the you should eat blood to survive iron lung guy, so I have to ask this question, but the flesh wall exists, and as long as you don't get rid of the exotic matter, it just regenerates. And if it's just a normal, average, everyday flesh, could you cut out a chunk and cook it and eat it, and then that part will just grow back instantly? And you could just rinse and repeat? I don't know. Flesh wall steak might be really good. Another L for Dr. K, she never thought of that. She was just so focused on pregnant women. With all that in mind, I believe the finale made it even easier to take over the Upside Down and by extension the Abyss. Not only did we find out new ways to kill all the nasty creatures we don't like, but the creatures barely even show up when you attack the hive mind. And even if they do show up when you attack the hive mind, due to how pain resonates between all of them, it's really easy to attack them. It's a terrible hive mind. You hit one, the rest all feel pain, they recoil, rinse and repeat until they're all dead. It's even worse if you get someone out of the hive mind. Will is probably not unique. He's just the only person in the show who got taken out of the hive mind. What if you put someone else in the hive mind and then also cured them? Do they also get the ability to see everything the hive mind's doing and also the ability to tap into Vecna's powers? Because if they can, that just means all you need to do is get someone infected and then uninfect them, and then you just have a counter. You could make so many spies. It's legit one of the worst hive minds in fiction. I should make a video on how to survive as the Stranger Things hive mind. But there is one hive mind that's worse, and we'll cover that soon. And last but not least, Will is a warlock, not a sorcerer. His powers aren't innate. They're borrowed from a higher power. They're borrowed from Vecna. Though they wouldn't have had warlocks in the version of D&D they played in Stranger Things. But they also wouldn't have had sorcerers, so none of this matters. That's about all I got for this weird rant. I'll see you around.